Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of 40K What If. Now, normally I'm going to like my 40Ks to be of a weighty matter, something of important. Now, this isn't just going to be an interesting one, but it is food for thought, and it will tie a little bit in with our other 40K of what if the men of iron are just resting and not seriously defeated, and are sitting there this entire time making their plans for their reemergence. Now, we have men of iron, but I was giving thought to the kind of civilization that was the dark age of technology. And they would have machines for human pleasure. So in this case, are there women of iron? Or, well, even in that case, some male variants of what primarily would be women of iron. Well, as you and I know, these things would have to be extremely passable. The technology level of the dark age of technology, no problem, I'm sure, to create an android. Now, given the high level of technology and the amount of information that even a pleasure oriented AI, they could still be out there. Yes, they could. They could have wormed their way. Now, of course, accidents, mishaps, and this and that will get rid of most of them. But since they have to pass for human physically in an intimate manner, you know, they're going to be pretty in depth. And likely one of them could be killed, and you would never actually know that you killed an AI. You might find some traces of, know, their cybernetic system, but you might just push that off as an implant because in reality, they probably would be far more human than most of the Mechanicus. So yes, I mean, there could be women of iron. Now, during the war with the Human Federation and everyone else, they may have used these as agents and they may have started to root them out. But, this is the cockroach effect. Pleasure bots, or should I say, pleasure AIs, there would have been a lot of them. So mathematically, you're saying by this time, maybe a handful could be there, but a handful of extremely intelligent devices, yeah, they could definitely change things if the Men of Iron were to come back. It would immediately give the Men of Iron a full network of information of the common day. We have someone here with us. Yes, we do. Now, this is not a Man of Iron. This is not a Cat of Iron. This is a Taylor Autumn. And she, of course, likes to disturb me, as is her wont. But at least she doesn't have the foul stigmata of mutation. Yes, so that is one thing that I am thinking in 40K. Now, given the abilities of the AI, they could have wormed themselves into some really important positions. Now, there would be a certain keeping under the radar, but if they are actually working with the defunct Men of Iron in an intelligent capability, they're going to worm themselves into some really powerful places and wait for the day. And when that would come, I do expect that it will be one thing on the Emperor's Return. As a Warhammer 40K fan, I've sat down and thought, well, after Emperor, comes out in his big return and he whoops butt, what would there be to do? But the more I examine the 40K universe, it could be just a very beginning. Because so many of these dark menaces are so powerful. And once again, I would really like to see GW bring back something old. And I think the Men of Iron would be great for a next faction. I believe too they would work in politically, but we will save that in for another one because, in my personal opinion, I believe the Necrons and the Men of Iron would be mood kindred. That's my theory anyway. But we're going to save that for another one. But trust me, we will get out of this Men of Iron kick. It's just, they're one of my favorite things in the 40k universe. Now, have a good night, everyone.